Hello, my name is Anastasia Borman, and my mapping project was on the homeownership rate in its correlation to average household income, if not there were a correlation between the two. Now, my hypothesis was that a higher income would own their own home. People with higher income would own their own home, while people with lower income wouldn't own their home. My mentality or my thinking behind this would be more money to own a home. No money, this would decrease the chances of owning a home. It just seemed the most logical to me. But we'll see later that logic doesn't always make sense. Homeownership rates were interesting because there was a very wide range. Alcona had the highest with 90.5%, while Isabella had the lowest with 58.9%. That's like a 30% difference between the two, just a bit above that. So, and the average for the state was 72.8%, which was interesting because 68 of the counties were above this average. So it was nice to see that. I mean, that's a pretty good percent. That's almost 3/4. So good job, Michigan. So homeownership rates. Here's my map for it. You can see that the urban areas actually have very low homeownership rates. You're seeing Wayne County, Kent County, Ingham and Eaton, Marquette even. Grand Traverse you'll see is in the bottom third there, and it was just very interesting to see these because they also have major universities at these places. So I was thinking that maybe high amount of students would decrease the chances of home ownership. Obviously, students exactly don't have enough money every month to pay mortgage or upkeep a house. And again, you see in the northeastern part of the Lower Peninsula, you see a pretty high percentage of people owning their own homes. And I was thinking that this could come from the high amount of elderly living in those areas, which would obviously they have more money accumulated over their lives, and so they're more likely to own their own homes than, say, a student is. You'll see Leelanau here is very high in the top 10. Now, granted, this was not a bell curve by any means, and so I just had to do by 10, and then I think I did 11 for the bottom three. So this is just in the top 10 of Michigan, as well as Barry, which you'll see very interesting compared to the average household income later. So remember that Barry was in the top 10. And here's just more of a close-up in case you couldn't see the difference between the two, the county lines and everything. So we go into the household income, and the average household income for Michigan was $48,471. So most of these areas that had the higher percent were urban areas, or more directly, suburbs. Livingston, which is the richest county in Michigan, is a suburb of, well, it's pretty close to being a suburb of both Wayne County and Eaton and Ingham, which is Detroit and Lansing, respectively, and it's also close to Flint, and so that makes it a really good place to live if you need to commute to all three places. There's major highways going in and out of the county. And so it's interesting to see that 16 out of the 83 counties were above the state average, while 67 of them were below that line. So that's just like 20% living above the state average, which is very interesting to me. And remember, Barry County was in the top 10 for homeownership rate, but it also has the lowest state average household income. So that's at $24,995, which is just $1,100 above the poverty line for the U.S. Now, this is based on the average family of 4, so, they might have this is just an estimation, so there's no concrete evidence. Now, this is the map for it, so you can definitely see, looking at the map, that around Wayne County, not Wayne County itself, but everything around Wayne County, Eaton, Ottawa, which is close to Grand Rapids, and you'll see again everything by Traverse City. You can even see an increase in Chippewa, which is, Sault Ste. Marie and Marquette. So you can definitely see that there's a correlation between urban centers and higher household incomes. Now, again, the elderly in the northeast part of the lower Michigan, you're going to see a decreased average household income only because of the fact that they don't exactly have full-time jobs anymore. They might be, getting Social Security. These kinds of things all affect average household income. So again, you can see Grand Traverse and Leelanau, and then Barrie you can see is definitely brown, which is the lowest group there. And here's just a larger picture of the map again. So, in summary, looking at the correlations between the two maps, there's really not a strong correlation either way. There's not, people who have lots of money own their homes, or people who have no money own their homes. So this is interesting to see because it didn't fit either of my logic, and there's really no correlation whatsoever between the two. If you were to superimpose the two on top of each other, if anything, there may be a correlation between just urban centers and not owning their homes, but I have to do more statistics to really see if there were any correlations between the two, which is hard because I'm not a math major, and so statistics to me is all Greek. So overall, there's no correlation between the two, and so all the data I was given was from the United States Census Bureau and the United States Department of Health and Human Services. That was to get the poverty guidelines for the U.S. Thank you for your time, and I hope your mapping projects were more fruitful than mine.